Have you ever woken up and felt a sudden wave of dizziness or lightheadedness, even though you didn't do anything out of the ordinary? What if I told you that something as simple as getting out of bed could be a silent risk to your health as you age? The truth is, small daily habits you never think twice about could be harming you. In fact, they might be adding up in ways you're not even aware of. Let's talk about the 4 most common morning mistakes that could be silently jeopardizing your well-being. Have you ever woken up feeling that some mornings seem to be more difficult as you get older? Or perhaps you've wondered why a simple morning routine can suddenly become risky? Let me tell you about a tragic incident. A 72-year-old woman passed away unexpectedly one morning due to an overlooked mistake. This wasn't some rare or bizarre error. It was a mistake that many people in their 70s make every single day. As we age, even the most ordinary habits that we once thought were completely safe can slowly become dangerous. The small choices we make, those seemingly harmless daily actions, can add up and begin to threaten our health. And yet, many of us don't even realize it until it's too late. In today's discussion, we're going to look at 4 common morning habits that might be putting your health at risk without you even knowing. These habits can have a serious impact on vital functions like your heart circulation, balance, and brain activity. Unfortunately, the truth is, most people over 70 fall victim to at least one of these errors each morning. But there is some good news. The best part is that once you're aware of these risks, they are relatively easy to correct. Avoiding them might just be the key to maintaining an active, healthy life instead of being faced with a serious medical emergency. Stick with us until the end because we're going to reveal a little-known yet incredibly dangerous mistake that could change the way you start every morning from now on. Before we dive in, I'd appreciate it if you could give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps me keep spreading valuable lessons about aging and health. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you won't miss any future videos. If you enjoy this content, drop a 1 in the comments. And if not, please leave a 0 to help me improve. Now, let's get started. The first mistake we're talking about is getting out of bed too quickly. At first glance, this seems like a simple, harmless action, something we do every day without thinking twice. However, for older adults, this routine movement can actually trigger a series of physiological responses that lead to dizziness, a sudden drop in blood pressure, and even the risk of serious falls. As we grow older, our bodies go through subtle yet significant changes that impact how quickly they adjust to sudden movements. One of the most affected systems is the circulatory system, which naturally slows down with age. The mechanisms that regulate blood flow become less responsive than they used to be. When you've been lying flat for hours during sleep, your body's blood tends to pool in your legs, feet, and abdomen. So when you get up too quickly, gravity pulls that blood downward faster, and your heart and brain may not get the oxygen-rich blood they need right away. This process, known as orthostatic hypotension, is something that's often overlooked but can be life-threatening. As you can see, even the most familiar routine can be deceptively dangerous. But don't worry, recognizing these risks is the first step toward taking control of your health. Let's continue to the next mistake that may be silently affecting your daily well-being. As we discussed earlier, orthostatic hypotension is more common than most people realize and becomes even more prevalent as we age. Let's take a moment to reflect on this, shall we? Think back to the last time you got out of bed in the morning. Did you ever feel a sudden wave of dizziness or maybe a momentary blur in your vision? Perhaps you instinctively reached for the nightstand, steadying yourself. You might have brushed it off as grogginess or the need for your morning coffee, but those brief sensations are your body sending you an important message, in SOS, if you will. What it's telling you is that your body wasn't quite prepared for the quick change in position. For younger people, the body adjusts rapidly, blood vessels constrict, the heart pumps harder, and balance is restored in an instant. But as we get older, These automatic mechanisms become slower and less efficient. When this happens, your blood pressure can plummet, leaving you feeling lightheaded or, in more severe cases, causing you to faint altogether. And when fainting occurs, the risk of falling increases dramatically. Let's take the example of someone like Oliver, a 74-year-old retiree who had lived with the same morning routine for decades. Each day, like clockwork, the alarm would ring. He would swing his legs over the edge of the bed and rise in one smooth motion, ready to face the day. It was as automatic as brushing his teeth, and he never gave it a second thought. That is, until one crisp autumn morning when his long-held routine betrayed him. As he stood up, a sudden fog enveloped his mind. His vision dimmed, his legs wobbled, and in the blink of an eye, he was plunged into darkness. For a split second, he blacked out completely. Instinctively, he reached for something to steady himself, but there was nothing nearby. He crumpled backward, landing heavily on the bed. He was fortunate his bed broke his fall, sparing him from a fractured skull or a broken hip, but the experience rattled him. He couldn't help but wonder, what if I'd been standing just a bit further from the bed? What if I'd fallen onto the hard floor or hit the sharp corner of the nightstand? That one moment of vulnerability forced him to face an uncomfortable truth. His body wasn't as resilient as it once was, and his old habits needed to change. Determined not to let this scare him, Oliver decided to make adjustments. He researched orthostatic hypotension and spoke to his doctor, who explained how this condition contributes to falls in older adults. Armed with this new knowledge, Oliver redesigned his morning routine to ease into the day rather than starting it with a rush. Now, when he wakes up, he doesn't spring into action. Instead, he follows a careful 3-step process. First, he lies still for a moment, taking 5 slow, deep breaths while gently moving his fingers and toes. This simple action jump-starts his circulation, helping to get the blood flowing evenly throughout his body. Second, he rolls onto his side. And now, we'll continue to see how this thoughtful approach has made a significant difference to his mornings. Stay with us as we explore the next steps in Oliver's new routine and how you can implement similar changes to protect your health. As we saw with Oliver's story, taking those extra few moments in the morning to ease into the day can make all the difference in preventing falls and ensuring that you start your day on solid ground. Now, let's move on to another commonly overlooked mistake that many older adults make, one that can have just as significant an impact on your well-being. The second mistake is skipping water in the morning. Hydration is often underestimated, yet it is one of the most crucial habits you can adopt, especially for individuals over 70. When you wake up, your body has gone several hours without replenishing the fluids it needs, and this can lead to dehydration. At first glance, skipping water may not seem like a big deal. You might think, "I'll get to it later," or "I'm not thirsty." However, dehydration can subtly affect your energy levels, cognitive function, and even your blood pressure. You might be surprised to know that even mild dehydration can cause dizziness and fatigue, making you more prone to falling. And for older adults, the risk is even greater. As we age, our bodies don't feel thirst as intensely, which makes it harder to know when we need water. The result? We often neglect this essential need, which can lead to a cascade of health problems. Now, imagine starting your day with a simple glass of water. Not only will it rehydrate you, but it will also help jumpstart your metabolism, improve your mood, and set you up for a more energized and alert morning. For someone like Oliver, this change was a small but impactful adjustment. By drinking a glass of water first thing every morning, he noticed a significant improvement in his overall well-being. He felt more awake, more clear-headed, and most importantly, he was taking an easy step towards safeguarding his health. It's a simple habit that takes only seconds but can have long-lasting benefits. For those of us who tend to skip this crucial step in the morning, it's time to rethink our priorities. A glass of water might just be the most important thing you drink all day. The body needs it, and the earlier we give it what it craves, the better. So, here's a question for you. What's the first thing you do when you wake up? If it's not reaching for a glass of water, maybe it's time to start. It's a small habit that packs a big punch in terms of benefits. Now let's continue with the next morning habit that you might want to reconsider on that can affect your heart, your mood, and your overall sense of well-being. Stay with us. As we've seen, hydration plays a critical role in maintaining our health, especially after a long night of sleep. Now, let's dive deeper into how a simple morning habit could be putting you at risk without you even realizing it. The third mistake is skipping water in the morning, something that might seem like a small oversight, but it can have surprisingly significant consequences. When you sleep for 6 to 8 hours or more without any fluid intake, your body doesn't just shut down, it continues working hard. Your heart keeps pumping, your lungs continue to draw breath, and your kidneys filter waste, all while you're completely unaware. But here's the thing, even though your body is diligently working, you're still losing water through subtle processes. Each time you breathe, moisture escapes from your body. Even if you don't wake up drenched in sweat, by the time you open your eyes in the morning, you're already in a mildly dehydrated state. This dehydration isn't always easy to notice, but the effects are real. After a night without water, your blood becomes slightly thicker because the fluid volume has decreased. As a result, your heart has to work harder to maintain circulation. Your brain, muscles, and joints may also feel the strain, as they all rely on proper hydration to function smoothly. This can be especially risky for older adults, whose bodies are less efficient at regulating fluid balance. Failing to replenish those lost fluids quickly can contribute to elevated blood pressure, sluggish circulation, and an increased risk of serious cardiovascular events like strokes or heart attacks. Research has shown that dehydration increases blood viscosity, which strains blood vessels and exacerbates existing health conditions. And for older adults dealing with age-related health challenges, the stakes are even higher. Think for a moment about how you feel when you first wake up. Do you notice a dry mouth, a slight headache, or perhaps stiff and achy joints? Maybe you even feel fatigued longer than you'd expect. These are often subtle signals from your body, signaling that it's craving water. Now, if your habit is to shuffle to the kitchen and pour yourself a cup of coffee as your first drink of the day, you may be unknowingly making things worse. While coffee is delicious and stimulating, it's also a diuretic, meaning it encourages your body to expel more fluid. Without a glass of water to counterbalance this, you're effectively digging yourself deeper into dehydration before you've even started your day. Let's take a real-world example. Meet Lucas, a 76-year-old retiree who's always had a deep love for strong black coffee. For decades, his morning routine was the samurai out of bed, brew a pot of coffee, and sip it slowly while reading the newspaper. But as he entered his mid-70s, he started noticing troubling changes. Some mornings, he would feel dizzy when standing up or struggle with a foggy mind that made it difficult to concentrate on his crossword puzzles. In the next part, we'll see how Lucas's simple adjustment to his morning routine changed everything for him. Stay tuned. As we've just seen with Lucas, a small change like drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning can make a world of difference. Now, let's explore another common mistake that many people make in the morning, one that could be affecting your health without you even realizing it. The third mistake is drinking coffee on an empty stomach. For countless individuals, coffee is the first thing they reach for when they wake up. It's a comforting, ritual warm, energizing, and familiar. However, drinking coffee first thing in the morning, especially on an empty stomach, can be more harmful than you might think. Lucas, like many others, had been drinking his beloved coffee as soon as he got out of bed for years. But after following his doctor's advice about hydration, he noticed something strange. On the mornings when he drank his glass of water before his coffee, he felt noticeably better. His energy levels were more consistent, and the stomach discomfort he sometimes experienced after his morning cup of coffee seemed to disappear. Intrigued, Lucas began paying more attention to this change and realized that the combination of hydration and waiting a little before his coffee made a huge difference. Here's why drinking coffee on an empty stomach can be problematic. When you drink coffee first thing, especially without food, you're triggering the production of stomach acid. This can irritate the stomach lining, causing discomfort, acid reflux, or even gastritis over time. And while coffee might give you a short-term energy boost, it can also increase your cortisol levels, the stress hormone. In the morning, cortisol is already naturally higher in your body, and adding more cortisol from coffee can put extra strain on your body's systems. Moreover, when you consume coffee without first hydrating, your body is still in a dehydrated state. Coffee is a diuretic, which means it encourages your body to expel more fluid. If you're not careful, this could further contribute to dehydration, leaving you feeling sluggish and unfocused later in the day. But don't worry, it's easy to fix this. The key is to simply hydrate first before you reach for that cup of coffee. If you can make it a habit to drink a glass of water first thing in the morning, your body will be much better prepared to handle your coffee. You'll be giving your body the hydration it craves and setting the stage for a smoother start to your day. Now, let's dive deeper into how these small changes can positively impact your health and well-being, especially as we age. Stay tuned as we uncover more morning habits that could be affecting you and how you can make simple adjustments for a healthier lifestyle. As we've seen, coffee can be a comforting and energizing start to the day, but if you're drinking it on an empty stomach, especially after a night of fasting, it might be doing more harm than good. Let's explore how this seemingly innocent habit can be sneaky and damaging, particularly as we age. For many individuals, the day doesn't truly begin until that first aromatic cup of coffee is brewed and sipped. This ritual has been the cornerstone of mornings for decades. Wake up, shuffle to the kitchen, brew a fresh pot, or pop a coffee pod into the machine, and then let the caffeine do its magic to kickstart your energy and focus. The scent alone can feel like a warm hug from an old friend. But here's the catch. Drinking coffee without eating anything beforehand could be one of the sneakiest and most damaging habits you can inflict on your body, especially if you're over 70. Think about the scene when you first open your eyes in the morning. Your body has been fasting overnight, and your stomach is empty. Your body is in a delicate transitional state. Blood sugar levels are at their lowest after hours without food, and your digestive system is gradually waking up from its night of rest. At the same time, your cortisol levels, the hormone responsible for managing stress and alertness, are peaking naturally to help you get out of bed and face the day. This is your body's finely tuned rhythm at work. Now, imagine introducing a strong cup of coffee into this delicate system. That jolt of caffeine doesn't just wake you up, it can send your cortisol levels soaring even higher, amplifying the stress on your system. This sudden hormonal spike, combined with the natural acidity of coffee, can wreak havoc on an empty stomach. You might feel immediate discomfort, and over time, this can lead to more serious consequences, such as chronic acid reflux, gastritis, or persistent stomach irritation. If you've ever drunk your morning coffee and then experienced jitteriness, lightheadedness, or even a subtle queasiness that you couldn't quite put your finger on, that's your body waving a red flag. Coffee's acidity, caused by compounds like chlorogenic acids and caffeine, can irritate the stomach lining when there's no food to act as a buffer. For some, this irritation manifests as indigestion or a burning sensation in the chest, hello, heartburn. Others may experience that all too familiar acid reflux, where you can still taste the coffee long after you've finished drinking it. For older adults, whose digestive systems may already be more sensitive due to age-related changes, This daily assault can quietly escalate into a recurring problem. Many people don't connect the dots between their morning coffee and these symptoms, chalking them up to simply getting older or something they ate the night before. Let's look at a real-world example to illustrate this point. Meet Daniel, a 75-year-old retiree who has had a lifelong love affair with coffee. For years, his morning routine was sacred. He'd roll out of bed, brew a strong black coffee, and sip it slowly while reading the news. Breakfast could wait an hour or so after all. Coffee was his first priority. But as Daniel got older, he started noticing troubling symptoms. Some mornings, he'd feel a bit off after his coffee, an odd feeling of lightheadedness or a queasy stomach. He brushed it off at first, but as time went on, the symptoms became more frequent and intense. Now, let's see how a small change in Daniel's routine helped him break free from this cycle. Stay tuned for how making a simple adjustment to his morning habits had a life-changing impact. As we've seen with Daniel, a small change in his morning routine helped reduce the uncomfortable symptoms of acid reflux and gave his digestive system a better start to the day. But there's more to the story, especially when it comes to how coffee affects our energy and nerves. Daniel had always started his mornings with a cup of strong black coffee. It was his ritual. But he never gave much thought to it until he started noticing some troubling symptoms. Acid reflux creeping in more often, a sour taste lingering in his mouth, a tight feeling in his chest, and sometimes even a hoarse voice. At first, he attributed it to spicy dinners or just the inevitable wear and tear of getting older. It wasn't until a routine checkup that his doctor asked about his morning habits. When the doctor zeroed in on his coffee before food ritual, the explanation was simple. Without food to temper it, the coffee was overstimulating his stomach's acid production and stressing his aging digestive tract. It wasn't the coffee itself that was the problem, but rather the timing. On the doctor's advice, Daniel made a small but impactful change. He started eating a light snack, like a banana, a handful of almonds, or a slice of toast, before his morning brew. Within just a couple of weeks, the reflux episodes became less frequent, and he felt more balanced throughout the morning. This change wasn't about giving up coffee, it was about giving his body a fighting chance. The key takeaway here isn't that coffee is the enemy. Far from it. Coffee has well-documented benefits. It boosts mental clarity, provides antioxidants, and can combat inflammation. The issue isn't the coffee itself, but the timing of when we consume it. By eating a little something first, you create a protective barrier in your stomach, neutralizing some of the coffee's acidity and giving your digestive system a gentler start to the day. Eating before coffee also helps stabilize your blood sugar. Without food, caffeine can cause blood sugar levels to dip and spike erratically, which can leave you feeling jittery or unfocused. It also tempers the natural surge of cortisol, the stress hormone, which reduces unnecessary stress on your system. If you're someone who instinctively reaches for the coffee pot as soon as your feet hit the floor, consider tweaking your routine just slightly. It doesn't have to be a full meal. Something as simple as a few crackers with peanut butter, a piece of whole grain toast, yogurt, or even a handful of berries can do the trick. Pair it with a glass of water to rehydrate after a long night's sleep, and you've set yourself up for a much smoother ride through the morning. But there's another layer to this. How does coffee affect our energy levels and nerves? Have you ever noticed that on some days, coffee leaves you buzzing with a restless edge, maybe even a hint of anxiety, while on other days, it's more of a calm, steady lift? Drinking coffee on an empty stomach often amplifies the first feeling. Without food to slow down its absorption, caffeine hits your system rapidly, causing a sharp spike in energy and sometimes adrenaline, which leaves you feeling wired but not necessarily productive. Then, after that initial high, comes the inevitable crash a few hours later. You're reaching for another cup to pull yourself out of the slump. Eating something before your coffee acts like a dimmer switch. It slows the absorption of caffeine into your bloodstream, delivering a more even and sustained boost. This is especially helpful for older adults who might already be more sensitive to caffeine's effects. So, next time you reach for that morning cup of coffee, remember the importance of timing. It could be the key to feeling better, both physically and mentally, throughout the day. Now, let's move on to another key morning habit that could be affecting you more than you think, something that may be causing long-term damage if not addressed. Stay with us. As we've discussed, making small adjustments to your morning routine can have profound effects on your energy and well-being. Now, let's dive into another common mistake that many people overlook, especially as they age. The fourth mistake is ignoring morning stiffness and moving too quickly. One of the most insidious and often underestimated errors people make after reaching the age of 70 is underestimating the profound impact of morning stiffness on their daily lives. As we age, it becomes common to wake up feeling a subtle, or sometimes not so subtle, tightness in the joints, muscles, or even the entire body. Many people dismiss this sensation as just another inevitable byproduct of growing older, brushing it off with a resigned thought like, "This is just what happens when you're my age." They push through the discomfort, either leaping out of bed or rushing to start their day, unaware that this seemingly minor decision could set the stage for significant consequences. A single misjudged step, an awkward twist, or a moment of imbalance can quickly spiral into acute pain, a debilitating injury, or even a life-altering fall. And all of this could have been prevented with a little more care and attention. The stiffness isn't just an annoying inconvenience, it's a signal from your body, one that's rooted in physiological changes that become more pronounced with age. During the hours of sleep, your body enters a state of rest where movement is minimal and blood circulation slows. During this time of inactivity, your muscles naturally tighten, and your joints, which rely on synovial fluid as a natural lubricant, don't get the motion they need to stay supple. For older adults, this effect is even more pronounced. The body produces less synovial fluid over time, and cartilage, which cushions the joints, wears thinner as the years pass. Additionally, conditions like arthritis or decades of wear and tear on the body can make matters worse. So, when you wake up, it might feel like you're trying to move a rusty hinge. Your body isn't primed for sudden or vigorous activity. It's still in a state of recovery from the night. Standing up too quickly, twisting abruptly to grab something, or even rushing to start your day before allowing your body to fully wake up can put undue stress on already stiff joints and muscles. And these actions, as simple as they seem, can lead to discomfort, injuries, or worse, a serious fall. So, how can you avoid this common mistake? The key is to allow your body the time it needs to adjust to the day. Instead of rushing out of bed, take a moment to stretch gently. Ease your way into the day rather than forcing yourself into motion too quickly. By giving yourself a few extra minutes, you'll be setting the stage for a smoother, safer, and more comfortable day ahead. This small change can make a big difference in your overall mobility and long-term health. But morning stiffness isn't the only challenge that comes with aging. Stay tuned as we explore another common morning mistake that could be silently affecting your health. As we've just seen, rushing through your morning routine without allowing your body time to adjust can have serious consequences. Let's explore how small changes in the way you wake up can help avoid injuries and ensure you start the day with strength and stability. Taking an unsteady step before your muscles and joints are fully ready can easily overtax your system, leading to strains, sprains, or worse. Picture a typical morning. You wake up, and there it is, that familiar tightness in your lower back, a creak in your knees, or a stubborn stiffness in your shoulders. Perhaps it's mild enough that you hardly notice, or maybe it lingers for a few minutes before fading as you begin to move. You might brush it off as a minor inconvenience, telling yourself it's nothing to worry about and continue on with your day. But consistently ignoring this early warning sign can compound over time. What starts as a minor ache can slowly evolve into chronic pain, restricting your range of motion. And, if left unchecked, it could ultimately lead to a sudden injury that disrupts your life and limits your independence. The statistics are alarming. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, falls are the leading cause of injury among adults over 65. A large number of these incidents happen in the home, often in the early morning hours when people are still groggy and stiff from sleep. Take, for example, the story of Ethan, a 70-year-old retiree who prided himself on staying active well into his later years. He walked daily, tended to his garden, and rarely let age slow him down. Like many people, Ethan woke up most mornings with a touch of stiffness, particularly in his hips and knees. However, instead of seeing it as a sign to slow down, he saw it as a badge of honor, a reminder that he was still pushing his body to do what it had always done. Each morning, he would swing his legs out of bed, stand up briskly, and head straight for the bathroom or kitchen without a second thought. But one chilly morning, that routine betrayed him. Still half asleep and stiffer than usual, he misjudged his footing on the way to the bathroom. His stiff hip didn't respond as expected, and his balance faltered. He crashed to the floor, fracturing his hip. What followed was a long and grueling recovery. Months of physical therapy, using a walker, and a humbling loss of the independence he had worked so hard to maintain. All of this could have been prevented if Ethan had simply taken a moment to allow his body the warm-up it desperately needed. The good news is that avoiding this mistake doesn't require a major overhaul of your life. It's about making small shifts in how you start your day. You can begin right in bed, taking those first few minutes to gently wake up your joints and muscles before you get up. Start with the smallest movements. Wiggle your fingers and toes to get the blood flowing. Then, slowly rotate your wrists and ankles in small circles to loosen them up. While still lying down, try a few knee lifts, bringing one knee toward your chest, holding it briefly, and then switching sides. You can also perform slow, controlled leg movements to ease tension in your hips. Stretch your arms overhead, feeling the stretch through your shoulders and upper back, and take a moment to breathe deeply, letting your body ease into the day. This small, thoughtful routine can make a world of difference in how you feel throughout the day. Now that we've discussed how to ease morning stiffness, let's explore another morning habit that can dramatically affect your health, particularly as we age. Stay tuned. As we've just explored, taking a few extra moments to prepare your body in the morning can make a world of difference in how you feel throughout the day. Now, let's talk about how these small adjustments can set the stage for long-term health and well-being, especially as we age. Start by oxygenating your muscles. Once you're ready to sit up, do so gradually. Roll your shoulders forward and back, tilt your head side to side, and maybe add a seated twist to mobilize your spine. These simple movements are designed to gently awaken your body, preparing it for the demands of the day ahead. Only after you feel a bit more limber should you stand up, and even then, take it slow. This simple routine might take only 5 minutes, 10 at most, but its impact is profound. Those extra moments of preparation can mean the difference between wobbling uncertainly and stepping into your day with stability and confidence. And remember, don't stop with just the warm-up. Be mindful of your first steps, especially in those early hours when your coordination might still be catching up. If you feel unsteady, keep a hand on a bedpost, wall, or nightstand for support. Avoid rushing, particularly in dim lighting or on your way to the bathroom, where slick floors or clutter can pose additional risks. Wearing slippers with good traction or even going barefoot if it's safe can also help you feel grounded and more confident in your movements. The goal here is to give your body the time it needs to transition from rest to activity. This way, you can ease the strain on muscles and joints that aren't yet ready to bear your full weight or move dynamically. It's these small, deliberate habits that build a solid foundation for long-term mobility. Regular gentle movement in the morning improves circulation, reduces stiffness over time, and even helps manage conditions like osteoarthritis. Combine this with staying hydrated, since dehydration can worsen stiffness and you're setting yourself up for more active, pain-free days. So, the next time you wake up and feel that familiar tightness, resist the urge to ignore it or push through. Instead, listen to your body and give it the care and patience it deserves to ease into motion. After all, staying active and independent in your later years doesn't begin with grand gestures. It starts with the small, deliberate choices you make the moment you rise. As we finish up, take a moment to reflect on your morning routine. Have you ever unknowingly made one of these mistakes? The habits you establish in the morning set the tone for the entire day. And after 70, these habits become even more critical. A healthy start isn't about making radical changes. It's about those small tweaks that protect your body, keep your mind clear, and help you feel your best from the start. Whether it's giving yourself a few extra seconds before leaving bed, prioritizing hydration, being mindful about how you drink your coffee, or easing into movement slowly, these little adjustments add up. In the end, they can be the difference between staying active and facing preventable health issues. Many people believe that health problems in old age are unavoidable, but that isn't entirely true. The choices you make each morning have a direct impact on your longevity, energy, and overall well-being. So, take a moment to consider how you can adjust your routine for better health and a more active life.